Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Max Story.
Hello, and thanks for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. So today I want you to do something. I want you to keep climbing with the intent of helping others climb. So what I'm talking about is what I'm about to talk to you about today and on the next 4 podcasts. So the next 5, the next 4 are going to follow up to this one. So today we made it up to the 4th step on the ladder of influence. 5 steps for climbing to the next level and beyond. So we're on the 4th step. The 4th step is where it all starts happening at an entirely different level. Most people are never, ever going to reach this 4th step, much less master this 4th step. Not because they're bad people, but they just haven't developed themselves enough to reach this step. They don't have enough character. Doesn't mean they're bad people. You can have a tremendous amount of character and master the first 3 steps. But you got to have a completely different level of character to start climbing on step 4 and then make your way up to step 5. So let's talk about the 4th step. The 4th step is influence, based on commitment to developing others. And that's what most people do not have. I mean, the majority of people don't even have a commitment to developing themselves. If you've been following along in this podcast series, you got a full idea and understanding of what I'm talking about. If today's your first episode, I highly recommend you go back and start with part 1 in this series. Go back, do a little backtrack and find that episode 1 where I kind of give you an intro and dive in and start right there. But you'll still get value out of this lesson, even if you've never listened to any of the other episodes, and even if you never listened to another episode. Every single episode on my podcast, it's got value within that specific episode, in spite of any other episodes that you might want to listen to. You're still going to get 1 or 2 nuggets, maybe a lot of nuggets from every episode. So the 4th step on the ladder of influence is where you begin to shift from focusing on your own success to focusing on the success of others. And that's where you start to see it. It takes an entirely different level of character to focus on the success of others. First of all, you got to be secure within yourself. Insecure people don't want others to be successful because they have a scarcity mindset. They think if someone else is successful, then there's no room for me to be successful. That seems very weird for me to say that, because that's not how I think. I think with an abundance mindset. I think if you can be successful, so can I. If 100 people can be successful, so can I. If 10,000 people can be successful, so can I. That's the difference. An abundance mindset thinks there's plenty to go around. Everyone can be successful. The more successful that we all are, the more room we create for other people to be successful. And that's a fact. Whether you know it or not, whether anybody listening to this knows it or not. Scarcity-minded people, they don't know it. And a lot of them, you can't tell them. So anyone who's climbed the ladder of influence and achieved success personally and professionally has an opportunity to give back to those who haven't. And that's what I've been focused on since 2012. And Rhea joined me in 2013. And we gave up everything to be doing what we're doing today, which is helping other people climb the ladder of influence, trying to help them become more successful. You see, I want you to be highly successful. And I hope that if you truly become highly successful, you'll be one of those rare people that climbs on up the ladder to step 4 and step 5 as you begin to focus on helping other people to become successful. And success doesn't necessarily mean money. It doesn't necessarily mean a high position in some company. It could mean both of those things. And it could also have nothing to do with those things. It just depends. It depends on who you are and what your mission is. And then other people who value your mission are going to be able to be highly influenced by you. There's people out there ain't worried about money, and there's other people like them that ain't worried about money, and they go do a lot of amazing things together. And they got plenty of money to live. They just ain't worried about buying some 300-foot yacht. Not everybody wants that. I could care less about that. It'd be cool to go hop on one, go for a ride, but I wouldn't want to own one. But there's plenty of people that do. And the people who want that, they're probably not following me. What I want is a high degree of character. What I want to do is climb this ladder of influence. And Rhea's book, if this is your first time listening, I didn't write this book. This is my wife's book, The Ladder of Influence. And I got her permission so I could share a 30-part series on you or with you on the book, just sharing about my thoughts. And again, I'm not reading the book to you, so don't listen to this series and think you've covered the book. You've discovered the principles and the foundation, the platform that the book's based on, but you're getting my thoughts and my feedback. And I'm sharing a few quotes and thoughts from Rhea, but you need to dive into that book. And if you're first-time listener, we've got a 7.5-hour video course. Just go to bluecollarleadershipacademy.com. Check that out. There's also a 2-hour free course there, the 5 types of leaders. And you can go there and take that for free. Find out if you like learning from a video. But it's the first 3 chapters is really about you growing and developing yourself so that you can get results in life in a way that values other people, so that you don't walk on people, step on people as you make your climb up the ladder of influence. But now at step 4, the only way to step on step 4 is you got to start having a desire to really help other people. For Rhea and me, it's when we gave up everything. You've heard me share this story a bunch of times, but right here is where it fits the most is when I started climbing to step 4, that's when I started giving up my stuff that I always used to want. My Corvette Z06, my Ford Raptor, Rhea's Hummer. That's when she started giving up stuff. She gave up her Hummer. Then we gave up our house with our pool and our hot tub, and we gave up a lot of income. We gave up multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. In today's dollars, it would be over $500,000. If you took those dollars we were earning back then together and put it in today's dollars, it'd be over 500,000. Probably, I think, over 600,000 last time I checked. And I don't say this to impress you, but we gave it up and went to zero. And we were broke as we ever been for 5 years. That's when we started wearing out this 4th step right here. It wasn't about us anymore. In our mind, we had already been successful. And again, some people would think you ain't done nothing if you only make 500 grand, 600 grand. You ain't done nothing. And again, we didn't make that much at that time, but you convert what we were earning together into today's dollars. That's what it is. And the reason I just recently started talking about it like that, because I was like, as time passes, especially a lot of time, you start talking about, especially with inflation today, you use real numbers, and people take those real numbers and apply them to today's circumstances. They're not the same. So I started doing a little research and doing the math and figuring out what's income back then equal to in today's dollars. So people understand it immediately with today's mindset. And the whole point ain't even about the dollars. The point is we gave up everything and went to zero when we started climbing on step 4. We were just so passionate about it. And Rhea says many times we may dream of helping many, but we must be willing to start by helping just one. And that's what we started doing, helping just one person. I still help just one person. Cumulatively, it's a lot of people. But I spend hours sometimes. You may be one of those people. You may have reached out and called me, like I tell people. If you want to be the one right now that I help next, my cell phone number, 334-728-4143. Call me. We'll be talking within 24 hours. I may be able to answer the phone. A lot of people are surprised when I answer the phone. But if I answer the phone, I got time to talk. We liable to talk for several hours if you get that much value out of it. I think the longest person I ever talked to on a first call was about 5 hours. And it was from midnight to 5 a.m. I share that story a lot. a lot of different stories that I share repeatedly can be used to teach different lessons. If you've been listening long enough, you probably figured that out. I don't tell the same story and talk about the same lesson every single time. Sometimes, though, I teach a lot of lessons repeatedly because people may listen to this podcast 1,000 times, but if they ain't doing it yet, that means they ain't learned it. They just been listening. So I keep beating the drum. But when Rhea and I gave up that, we sold our house. We had a pool and a hot tub. We sold everything. Started driving 2 little economy cars, a Toyota Corolla and a Nissan Sentra. And in those days, we still had plenty of money, but we knew where we were going, and we didn't know how quick we were going to get there. So we started giving up everything, getting out of debt so that we could go help other people. Wasn't so we could go make a lot of money. We were already making a lot of money. We had tens of thousands of dollars a month to waste, and I wasted it. Back in those days, I was focused on me. I was successful in my mind. I had made far more money than I needed because I didn't want a whole lot of stuff. I had some cool stuff, but I didn't want a whole lot more stuff. So I just had a lot of money to waste. And we wasted it, meaning me and me. Rhea was just along for the ride most of the time. She got some benefit out of it. But I was just wasting money. I wasn't focused on other people. I didn't have a big vision of helping other people. But that's what step 4 is. Again, there's a whole lot of work to do on steps 1, 2, and 3, and you don't ever really finish doing the work on those steps. But you got to do a lot of work on those steps before you get to put a foot on this step. That's the point of today's talk as we start exploring this 4th step on the ladder of influence. In this book, Rhea mentions another one of her books. She teaches something. She says, this is pretty powerful teaching. I remember when I first read it in her book, she wrote about this in Leadership Gems, 30 Characteristics of Very Successful Leaders. But she shared a little bit of it in this book because it's very powerful and it fits. But she says there are 2 basic types of confidence: self-confidence and situational confidence. So as you start exploring the 4th step, you start thinking about helping other people climb the ladder of influence. See, when you're working hard on step 4, what you're really trying to do is help other people climb steps 1, 2, and 3 in hopes that those people you're helping, some of those people are going to climb on to step 4. But she talks about self-confidence is conviction of your values. So I'm going to teach you right here what she's teaching. I'm using Rhea's words here. She talks about self-confidence and situational confidence. She says self-confidence is conviction of your values and core beliefs enhanced by experience and lessons learned from both success and failures. She goes on to say, in other words, self-confidence is static and it's based on your character. The factors that make you uniquely you create your self-confidence. Self-confidence is developed over time. While other people can support you, self-confidence will only be realized by growing and developing your own character. So what she's talking about when she says self-confidence is static, she's talking kind of short term. Like whatever my confidence level is right now in myself, it ain't going to change a lot between today and tomorrow and next week. It means it's static. My self-confidence, it's not changing quick. It can change tremendously over time. We're talking about months and more likely years. A person's self-confidence can change dramatically over years. So it ain't static like in the big picture, long term, but it may be. If someone's not growing, someone can live their whole life with low self-confidence because they've never intentionally grown and developed themselves. They hadn't done what we was talking about on steps 1, 2, and 3. They ain't done that work yet. So they can live their entire life with a lot of low self-confidence. But you can change it. But again, she's talking about like self-confidence in the moment. Whatever's going on in the moment. Whatever your self-confidence is, that's what it is. So when she talks about situational confidence, she says situational confidence is certainty of the outcome of a situation based on your talents, abilities, skills, and knowledge. In other words, situational confidence is dynamic. It depends on the situation, she says, and I agree. And she says, and it's affected by factors beyond your control. Situational confidence can be increased by developing your competency. See, when she's talking about situational confidence being outside of your control, you may have to do something because something lands in your lap. It could be at work. Your boss may ask you may have a ton of self-confidence, but your boss may give you an assignment. And if they're the boss and you want to work there and they give it to you, you got to try to make it happen. But in that particular situation, it may be something new. They may have given you an assignment to help you grow, and they know it's going to challenge you. They know it's going to take you out of your comfort zone. They may know they may not be able to articulate it like this, but they may understand you don't have that situational confidence in that situation. That's why Rhea calls it situational confidence. The job you go in and do every day that you can do with your eyes closed, you got tremendous situational confidence. You got the talents, the abilities, the skills, the knowledge to do that. You know it. Other people know it. But this is about you. But you got it. But then someone stretches you. In this example, the boss is stretching you, getting you outside of your comfort zone, giving you a mission. It could be to go speak. It could be to speak to. You may work in a big facility. It's got 400 or 500 people, and because you're highly competent and you get tremendous results in your job, the leader may say, "Hey, we're doing at the next company-wide meeting. I want you to give up and give a 30-minute talk and break down who you are and why you're able to achieve those results and share some of those results and share some stories." And you may be phenomenal at that job, but you may be terrified of public speaking. You may be scared. You may be afraid to talk to 10 people in a group, much less now you're being challenged to speak to 500 people. And most of those people you don't know. And some of them are big dogs, the owners of the company, the CEO. All the big dogs going to be in there listening. You see how you could be very confident in something? You could be extremely confident, even talking about what you're confident in. But then you could be put in a situation where you ain't confident. And now you got to get outside your comfort zone and grow. But see, if you've got self-confidence, remember that's the one Rhea talked about, is static. If you've got a high degree of self-confidence and you're in the situation that I just described, then you know you're still going to kill it. You're going to master it. You're going to start reading books on speaking. You're going to start watching YouTube videos about speaking. You're going to put in the work. You're going to do the time. And when you get up there, you're going to do amazing. And that's because you got self-confidence. Situational confidence, you may be lacking it, but that's why you went to work. Because you know I need to develop that competency. And you're the kind of person that's going to take responsibility for developing that competency. You may start watching other people speak on a topic that you're going to speak about so you can get some ideas. You can see how they do it. You can see what you like, what you don't like. You can learn from their mistakes. Make sure you don't make those mistakes. All kind of things you can do. But if you got a high degree of self-confidence, doesn't matter what task anybody gives you. When I was coming up through the ranks in the manufacturing world, I always knew I could do whatever job they wanted me to do. And whatever they asked me to do, I always said, okay, I'll do it. And I killed it every single time. Slayed the dragon every single time. It's because I had a high degree of self-confidence. And I'm sure a lot of that comes from my time, even though it was a short time, in the Marine Corps. If you just go to Marine Corps boot camp at Parris Island and you go through the 3 months of that and you can kill it. I got a meritorious promotion out of boot camp. Again, I ain't bragging I ain't bragging to you. I'm trying to help teach this lesson using some of my life stories. But I went in there and had tremendous confidence. And all that came from my uncle before I went in there, who had been in the Marine Corps. So when I got there, my mind was already set and prepared. I already had a tremendous amount of self-confidence because of my relationship with my uncle. He had instilled a lot of self-confidence in me. But when I got in there, I still had a new challenge, but I had self-confidence. I didn't have situational confidence because I was outside my comfort zone. I'm having to learn all kind of stuff I didn't know nothing about. But I had self-confidence, and I knew I could learn it, and I knew I'd do the work, pay the price, so that I could master whatever it was. And I did master it. Out of 60-something people in my platoon, only 2 people got a meritorious promotion. The other person was a guy who had been in Marine ROTC in college. He got one meritorious promotion, and I got the other one. And me and him didn't come from the same place, and we definitely didn't come from the same background. But we got the same results. We both had self-confidence for completely different reasons, but based on the same principles. And he had a lot of situational confidence relative actually to being in the Marine Corps because he had went through Marine ROTC in college. But I had to develop all that situational confidence on the fly, most of it, because all that stuff was new to me. It wasn't new to him, but it was new to me. So it's the same way out in the real world. You just got to know you can have a high degree of self-confidence, and then a situation can change, and in situationally, you don't have a high degree of confidence. You still can have a high degree of self-confidence at that same moment, but situational confidence can be very low. And those people with a low degree of self-confidence, when they find themselves in a situation where they have low confidence because they lack talent, ability, skills, and knowledge, they flop around all over the place. They don't make it. They don't do too well. Those were some of the people, going back to my boot camp days at Parris Island. Those were some of the people, they didn't make it. Some of them didn't make it but a week or two. Some of them didn't make it but a day or two. And then a couple didn't make it but a month or two. They everything's constantly changing. You're always learning something new, and you run up against a new roadblock and a new hurdle. But those people who did make it, like I said, I went in with a high degree of self-confidence. A lot of people went in, they didn't have a lot of self-confidence. But anybody who graduates Marine Corps boot camp, they have a lot of self-confidence. You don't get through it without that part. That part's going to happen, or you ain't going to make it. And relative to what's been expected of those folks during boot camp, they developed situational confidence. They mastered, relatively speaking, at the level they needed to master it to graduate. They mastered every situation, or they wouldn't be there. If you don't master a situation in Marine Corps boot camp, you get rolled back. You don't get kicked out. Like if you can't pass the swim qualification, you don't get kicked out. They got something called a swim platoon. You get rolled back into the swim platoon, and that's what you do. You learn how to swim at the level you need to swim at. Until then, you don't get to move forward. Once you pass the swim test, then you get put into a new platoon that's at the same level you were at when you got kicked over to the swim platoon. It's like that with everything that you got to master and pass. We had one guy graduate with us. You're only supposed to be there 3 months, 12 weeks, 13 weeks at Marine boot camp. This guy graduated. He had been there 9 months. 9 months at Parris Island. He got kicked back on almost everything. But what was awesome about him is he never gave up. I guarantee you that dude had a ton of self-confidence just for overcoming every single thing. You know, he couldn't pass any physical tests. He couldn't swim. He couldn't shoot. He couldn't pass the mental test, all kind of things. But they didn't give up on him, and he didn't give up on himself, and he's able to overcome that. And if he I don't know nothing about that guy, where he went, but if he kept climbing, who knows? One day he could have been a Marine drill instructor. And if he ever was, he would have saw Marine boot camp a whole different kind of way than everybody who graduated after 3 months. I guarantee you he'd be hard on them folks who were like him, but he'd also never give up on them. Because the drill instructors that he always experienced never gave up on him. They kept pushing him. They could see that little bit in him that he wasn't giving up on himself, so they kept pushing him. 9 months is a long time. There ain't many people ever lasted 9 months at boot camp. I guarantee you, they always give up before then. But it's pretty powerful stuff. So as we move into this 4th step, remember we got 4 more episodes on this step before we tackle the 5th step. The last thing I want to leave you is a quote from Rhea today. She says, "You can't take someone to the top of the mountain if you don't know the way." You can't take someone to the top of the mountain if you don't know the way. You can point to the top of the mountain, tell them that's where they need to go, but you can't take them up there. Think about it kind of like a travel agent and a tour guide. Travel agent can tell you all places you need to go, should go. But once you get there, you need a tour guide show you the way. You need somebody who's been there over and over and over. They know how to get there. They know the most efficient way. They know the most effective way. They know how to prepare themselves to get there. They know how to prepare you to get there. If it's a mountain, if it's Mount Everest, they about to take you up. You think of those Sherpas over there who go up and down the mountain. You know, somebody goes over and climbs Mount Everest one time. They think they're the most amazing person in the world. And you got Sherpas over there that don't get any recognition, that's taking these people and leading these people up and down the mountains every day. It's like their job. I mean, literally is their job. They take people up and down the mountain. They're the guides. They've been there over and over and over and over and over. Like they probably could do it in their sleep. It's just the way it is. You need a tour guide. That's what Rhea and I are trying to be for you and anyone else that we come across in life. We've climbed this ladder of influence, and we're trying to help others do it because it's a set of principles. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are, how you are. These principles is how you climb the ladder of influence. All right. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Talk to you next time.
Make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mac Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mac's books, programs, special offers, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.